They are the chosen ones, the visionaries, the geniuses who changed the world through sheer brilliance.
Yeah, that's a lie.
That light bulb? Edison's workshops were filled with uncredited innovators. Those Picasso paintings? Stolen from African artists who were labeled primitive. That iPhone touchscreen? Decades of work by engineers who never got the spotlight.
This story of the creative genius isn't actually about creativity at all. It's about power, about who gets to be seen as brilliant, whose ideas matter, and who gets erased from the story. And if you've ever thought, I'm not creative enough, or I don't have that special spark, that's not an accident. That's exactly what this myth was designed to make you think.
To understand how this myth shapes our world, we need to understand where it came from.
The myth of the creative genius as we know it today was largely constructed during the Renaissance and the Enlightenment periods in Europe.
Before this, creativity was often seen as collective, belonging to communities, guilds, or shared traditions. Artists worked in workshops, scientists built on shared knowledge, and innovations emerged from collaboration.
Bellissimo.
But as Europe shifted toward individualism and capitalism, a new story emerged. The idea of the lone genius, usually a white European man working in isolation to create breakthrough innovations. This myth became a powerful tool of colonialism. European powers could simultaneously steal innovations from colonized peoples, dismiss those same peoples as primitive or uncreative, claim credit for adaptations of stolen ideas, and use genius, or the idea of it, as the justification for their supposed superiority.
And these patterns continue today. When we talk about innovative disruption in Silicon Valley, when we celebrate visionary CEOs, when we focus on individual rather than collective achievement, we're seeing the same myth at work.
Let's look at how this plays out using the examples we talked through earlier, as well as some new ones. When Pablo Picasso drew inspiration from African masks, he was hailed as revolutionary. But the African artists who created those masks, most of their names were never recorded. Their work was displayed in anthropology museums, not art galleries.
When Steve Jobs presented touchscreen technology, media narratives centered him as a lone genius. This erased the contributions of countless engineers and researchers, many of them women and people of color, who spent decades developing these innovations. Their systematic exclusion from recognition reflects broader patterns of who gets credited for technological advancement. In schools, certain types of intelligence and creativity are celebrated while others are dismissed. Even in art classes, there's an overwhelming focus on European traditions. Music education centers Western classical forms, and gifted programs overwhelmingly identify privileged white students.
In creative industries, the gatekeepers remain predominantly white and male. They control who gets funding for their projects, whose art hangs in major galleries, what books get published, what innovations get celebrated.
Here's the thing. Less than 15% of art shown in major US museums is by non-white artists. Patent applications by women and people of color are rejected at higher rates. Major literary prizes overwhelmingly go to white authors. Even so, we don't have to look hard to find extraordinary examples of innovation and creativity born from the collective imaginations of community and people that have so often been disincluded from mainstream cultural narratives.
The guy's a genius.
But most people wouldn't think he was a genius, and even today. That's because his whole persona didn't have that kind of look like if you see Beethoven or you see pictures of all the older musicians. Beethoven, it seemed like he never smiled for a picture, ever. He was like, Chopin be like, and Louis Armstrong's like, so it's like, is that guy really the genius?
When Black musicians developed jazz, they revolutionized not just music, but the very nature of artistic collaboration and innovation. Jazz challenged hierarchical models of creativity, demonstrating how structure and improvisation could work together, how individual expression could strengthen rather than detract from collective creation.
LGBTQ+ communities have developed complex support systems and cultural spaces that challenge mainstream definitions of family and community. The ballroom scene, chosen families, mutual aid networks, they're not just responses to exclusion. They are paradigm-shifting social innovations that offer powerful models for how communities can organize and care for each other.
Consider the creativity of disabled communities. Every day, they navigate a world that wasn't built for them, developing innovative solutions and adaptations. This isn't just problem solving, it's a profound form of creativity born from necessity.
Indigenous creative traditions and knowledge systems aren't static relics. They are dynamic, evolving practices that continue to offer innovative solutions to contemporary challenges. From sustainable land management to complex social systems, these are sophisticated approaches developed and refined over generations of careful observation and practice.
Look at how marginalized communities have developed beautiful systems of mutual aid, alternative economies, and collective decision-making. These aren't just survival strategies, they're creative innovations in how humans can support each other. Yet because they don't fit mainstream expectations, they're often dismissed or ignored.
Indigenous approaches to environmental stewardship offer proven solutions for climate change. Indigenous justice systems demonstrate effective alternatives to incarceration. They're elaborate, tested systems that challenge dominant Western approaches. Contemporary movements continue to innovate in profound ways. Movement organizers developing complex, layered strategies that combine digital and physical organizing, communities creating decentralized networks for resource distribution and support, activists using technology in strategic ways to amplify their messages and build power, advocates developing new frameworks for understanding care, access, and interdependence.
As we confront systemic challenges, from climate crisis to poverty, we need to recognize and support these proven approaches to social and environmental innovation. The question isn't whether marginalized communities have solutions, it's whether those in power will stop suppressing and start supporting these established methods, or whether a critical mass of us can work together in solidarity to make them.
So what does all of this mean for you? What does it mean for all of us? Next time you think to yourself, I'm not creative enough, ask yourself, who taught me that creativity belongs to geniuses? Whose creativity am I not seeing? What voices am I not hearing? And here's my challenge to you. Find your community. Creativity thrives in connection and relationship. And question the story. When you hear about a lone genius, ask, who else contributed? Whose stories were erased? What communities made this possible? Amplify others, share the work of creators from marginalized communities, support spaces where diverse creativity can flourish, and learn the real history. Look beyond the standard narrative to discover the rich creative traditions of communities that have been systemically excluded.
Because dismantling the genius myth isn't just about personal creativity. It's about justice. It's about creating a world where everyone's creative contributions are valued, where every community's innovations are recognized, where creativity truly belongs to all of us.